know this song?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Does anybody know the title of it?
This is not my genre. Sorry.
What do you think? It's not really my song either, but the song actually was sort of the beginning of an idea for how I wanted to launch this morning's meeting. And the song is called "It Is a Story of a Girl," but I want to rewrite the song and call it "It's the Story of an Egg." So let's talk about this story of an egg. And before we get into the egg, I wanted to share a personal story about Palo Alto Foods. So if anybody's hungry this morning, you should grab one of these bars. They're called Nugo bars. Polly, come up here with me. So in 25 years ago, I was out for a run. And my best friend and I would always think of ideas while we were running. And because we wanted to start a business. And we thought of some really dumb ideas on those runs. But we came up with this one idea to create a nutrition bar. And we were kind of chubby kids, and we wanted a healthy product as candy replacement. And my business partner decided that he wanted to do it full go. And we actually started the company in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and had some success. We sold it into the local grocery store. But Keith wanted to go somewhere that had like this healthy vibe. And he's like, I gotta go launch this in California. Let's do it. Let's quit our jobs and go to California. I decided to get married and have children. And I couldn't pick up my family and do that. And I've always wondered, how different things would have been if I did this, but I didn't do it. I didn't go follow my dream, but Keith did. And he moved out here. And he moved out here alone, totally alone, pretty much with just a bar. And he didn't know how to start the business. I mean, there's people in this room that can really probably identify with the story more than others. But, he didn't know what to do, and he met this guy. It was the first person he met. His name was Paul Jensen. And Paul and Karen and the team sort of took Keith in and showed him the ropes, showed him what food distribution meant from the very first moment. And introduced him to everybody that he needed to know in Northern California.
It was our first bar, by the way.
And it was
before
the first
now we
bar.
have thousands of bars. It was our first one. Yeah.
And you've been carrying it and selling it
For that many years. Yeah.
For 25 years.
Yeah.
So you could only imagine how surprised I was when I came here and I go back in the warehouse and I see this bar, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. It's just funny how things come full circle. And it made me start thinking about, the M&A and everything that everybody's been through, to make this happen, and how much change. And raise your hand if you feel like you've been on a pretty big roller coaster over the last few years. I sometimes feel bad that I wasn't part of it with you all, and that I'm coming in now, because I know that you've all been through a lot, and there's probably been some amazing highs, and there's been the lowest of lows. But now here we are together, and we have this opportunity for a next chapter. We have this organization that that is sort of, the story of the phoenix. It's climbed out of the ashes. I mean, we've climbed out of the ashes a few times and have needed to reinvent ourselves, and now we're reinventing ourselves under this, with this incredible partner and this opportunity to enter the institutional space, which is a whole different category for us. Paul's father, right, decided that he was going to be an egg farmer. Okay.
Thor Olaf.
Thor Olaf gained a reputation for producing the freshest and highest quality eggs in the region. And so that's the legacy. It's pretty cool. But then, all this great reputation selling eggs, what else can we sell? What else can we provide to the community to make their lives better? And, product lines and distribution channels opened up over the years. Today, Palo Alto Foods is a thriving specialty food retailer, offering so much stuff locally, artisanal goods, and so much more. Over 5,000 SKUs and access to how many more?
70,000. Yeah.
Okay,
kind of our thing.
It's quite an extraordinary organization that we all are part of, as part of Cheetah and as part of Palo Alto Foods. And it's going to become more evident, I think, as we continue working together, that it is one team. I would love to pose a question to everybody, and I know I'll let you all get back to work this morning, but I'm curious, like, what does it feel like for all of you to be part of this team, this Palo Alto team, this Cheetah team? How about our front line, who is joining us here in the back? What's it feel like to you when you think about how far we've come, when you think about the legacy that this organization has?
Franco, Zolin, we've been through it all.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I've been with the company for 28 years, and I'm proud because we feel, I become part of Palo Alto, and then I feel like a, family, part of the family.
George, how many years?
34 years.
35.
But we never, all together like a team, we never give up. I was the first Latino working in Palo Alto.
In all of Palo Alto?
Yes.
Dude.
Come
To the back. Go ahead.
My name is Ileana, and I had less than a year working with the group, but I enjoy a lot because we work as a family, we work as a team, we help each other all the time, and then we like because also we check like the quality of the products, and then we verify that everything is correct. We try to all the time check the days of when the product is going to like the expiration, so we can say the best of for the people who buy the product. And then I guess that I really enjoy a lot. I really like to work here.
I understand that we have Lyft that is a new customer, and we need to hit 100% accuracy on the Lyft business, yeah? Are we gonna get 100% accurate on the Lyft business?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 7,000 for the first week order. Let's go. I mean, this is an example of what it's going to take to keep building and building, and make this place beyond what each of us as individuals thinks is even possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hi, my name is Mike. I work in 1 year ago in Palo Alto. So my first job in Palo Alto is driving. So right now I'm working inside for warehouse. I like my job. I like my team.
My name's Angel. I'm part of the warehouse. I've been here for like a year or two. And yeah, this team's been different from like other places I worked for.
How's it up?
Yeah. So it's just like, a lot of companies, they really like fake the family part, but this one's like, this is different, like actually care.
Awesome, Angel. Thank you.
My name is Francisco Flores, and I'm the morning crew lead. And like I said, I've been with the company a lot, and I like to be here. So.
My name is Jesús Gómez. Pues me siento muy contento también de pertenecer a Chira y a Palo Alto, y estamos acá para colaborarles en lo que podamos. Muchas gracias.
My name is Ileana Buendia, and I have less than a year, and I'm enjoying a lot working with this with my crew because we feel like a family.
My name is Jose Nevares. I'm working for Palo Alto for 26 years. My position is receiving and shipping in a warehouse. And yeah, I do a lot of different things for help all the company. Now, for Cheetah, Palo Alto. But yeah, I'm so happy because I'm still here, and yeah, that's it.
Hello, good morning. My name is Adrian Duran, and I did start with Palo Alto in 2006 until now, and I started working as a driver or deliverer, and now I'm working for the warehouse. Thank you.
Awesome.
Hi, my name is Jorge Blanco. I work in the warehouse, working with my friend, shipping, receiver, and then I like to spend time working with Cheetah and Palo Alto. I know it's kind of different right now, but I'm learning every day.
Well, I started with a company 26, 27 years ago. As a baby, of course. Yeah, it's been a long journey. It's a couple key words that I hear from our team. The team that I was with us before, and with a new team that has less than a year. It's. I'm gonna sound like I'm gonna repeat, but yeah, that's the thing that when we started with Palo Alto Foods, they make us feel like a family. Once you feel like a family, you own the business like it's your own business too. So that's when I hear that they take care of the product, is because they take care of the product like it's their own product, like our own product, and we just want to make sure that we deliver good product to the customer. And we know that that's our business, and if that business is good, we have a job, and if we have a job, we can support our families, and so that's and that's how they make us feel, it's something that we learned from the Jensen School, and now with the support Cheetah, then that's where we try to make it happen.
We'll move it over.
My name is Nancy Irizar. I've been here for 22 years. But really what I do here is I still do a lot of like sourcing. I do the cost updates. I add new items. I help in customer service. Anything you guys need, you can ask me, and if I don't know, I will find out. But I really enjoy finding the items and sourcing new things. Like, it's a challenge for me, and I like that.
That's great. Thank you.
This is Judy.
I'm Judy Herrera. I'm very new with the company, and I do customer service, inside sales, and I'm still learning. Not only I started with Palo Alto, but now with Cheetah, and it's been a great experience so far. So I've been here less than a year, and I'm still learning with something new every day.
I'm Karen Billmeyer. I've been with Alto Foods almost 24 years. I started in sales, and I've remained in sales. I started just pounding the pavement, doing cold calls, and doing street business, restaurants, things like that, and then I just kept progressing up. Now I handle their chain accounts, all their chain business. I also deal with a lot of vendors. I have one-on-one relationships with a lot of our suppliers, but I love it.
So y'all, I'm Brett. Hopped on with Cheetah probably about 2 years ago. I mean, just Palo Alto just seems to have this like really good watertight team that's going. So excited to learn from you guys and then get into kind of more institutional stuff as well and all that.
Yes.
My name's Chris. I started Cheetah 8 years ago with Nama. Super excited about Palo opportunity. Palo Alto is the bright shining star within Cheetah. You guys are growing. You guys are profitable. It's just super exciting. And there's so much untapped potential from so many angles. There's the opportunity to sell Cheetah SKUs to Palo Alto customers. The opportunity to sell Palo Alto SKUs to Cheetah customers. The opportunity to go after new business with the combined resources of the company.
My name is Mitch. I've been with Cheetah for a year. And I've been out with Paul now several times over the last couple months, and just super excited to keep working together. Really enjoy the experience that we've been able to, try to glean from both Paul and Karen as far as, the years and decades they have in this industry. I think there's such valuable resources, and just excited to keep diving deeper in with them.
Thank you. Eddie.
So I'm Eddie Westmoreland. I've started my 5th month here at Cheetah. I own Eddie Papa's. It's here in town. Family is everything, and when you hear you guys talk, it's exactly how we've run our restaurant. It's why I've had such long-term employees. It's why I can have that restaurant and be here at the same time, because I have a team that's running it. So to feel that oozing out of every single person on the Palo Alto team is extraordinary, and it makes me just want to be a part of it.
Hi, I'm Josiah. Very much looking forward to working with Palo Alto, expanding our assortment, helping Palo Alto with their assortment as well. So, very happy to be here. And I've known about Palo Alto Foods for a long, long time, back from when I was in the restaurant business and the company. I'm just excited the company has a great reputation, great brand.
Hi, I'm Patrick from Cheetah.
Also very busy.
You can talk to us. Forget about the camera.
I'm a lead here on the sales team. That's how I'll put it. And I've been with the company for 2 years. I'm very excited about this next step of joining forces with Palo Alto, because we've heard so many great things. Just the type of business that you do is a little bit more in line with some of my past experience, so I'm excited to be a part of this.
Together, along with our leaders, which is everybody, we have an opportunity to really fully serve the Northern California market in a way that we were not able to serve before. We can hit restaurants, we can hit hospitals, we can hit corporate cafeterias and micro kitchens, and you name it. We can be a solution for it, and we can do it well. And I know that together we're going to go very, very far, and who knows how far it can take us. So, and I was fired up before, but feeling like I know each of you better, and our team that's out there on the front lines, it gets me even more excited. We've taken a step back from this because it's not like this is new. It's not like this asset that Cheetah brought on to this organization was an accident. It was just, from a timing standpoint, the M&A got us to here. And, reorganizing the organization so that we can be focused and strategic about very specific milestones, gets us to here. And we're doing, you may notice, you're surrounded by, things on the wall that are talking about nothing but continuous improvement. And here we are with an opportunity to really bring our teams together, and that's going to get us to here, and we keep going. We want to increase sales as an organization. I mean, growth is something that is critical to our existence as an organization. That goes without saying. So that means that we can't just have Karen carry the load. It's amazing what you've done as really one person, but I think what we've all come to realize, it's not one person. Okay, there's an entire team that's literally holding you up and making it possible. And now we are going to, produce more Karens. And Karen's going to play a big role in, taking our capacity to the next level without sacrificing quality. Because the reputation that has been built over, by your father and continued by you is something that we must uphold. We must. And that's the opportunity that we have. So, and we need to create a structure around this to navigate the process, to figure out how the systems are going to work so that we can scale. Because, what could happen is we could really start growing. And, can we arm ourselves with the ability to deliver? We're not going to grow. I promise you, as long as I have any influence over the agenda of this, we are not going to grow until we're ready to grow, because we will not compromise on the quality standards that have been set. And we've got to keep that in mind. What is the scope of this project? It's really bringing us together. It's building a sales process so that we can easily transfer the best practices that Palo Alto has had for all these years and be able to share it with others and bring others in. We're going to do it the right way. There's a team of us around the table that are going to be learning about this. We're going to do things like today, like talk about territories and assign accounts, and talk about the plan to get there and how this is going to work with our own existing sales operations and forecasting and commission, All of that stuff. Those are things that are really important that we'll figure out. And this is the training. This is our first step. This is not our only step. It's simply our first step. The result, satisfied customers. Number one, don't pass go on anything else unless one is accomplished. Two, an incremental growth. You know, we've set the bar, we think, fairly minimal at $50,000 a week. Like, when you really break it down, you said it to me last night, what does $50,000 a week really look like?
It's like going to Whole Foods. So, you know, $300 is a little bit to a lot of customers. It's not an onerous task. You throw 300, 400, 500, maybe if you get 1,000, but you spread it amongst everybody, it's doable.
Yep. So we're not going to start out with incredibly ambitious goals because we're going to do it the right way. But I envision a world where we quickly, within I don't know what period of time, we'll figure it all together when we put another zero on the end of that. And that's what the possibility is, right? We all met this team and beyond, and that's great. Here's what we're going to do today, and I'm going to give everybody just a very brief break in a couple minutes. We can freshen up our coffees, use the restroom, but it's going to be like a 5-minute break. But what we're going to do is we've already taken the first piece of this, and actually only are 4 minutes behind. We're going to have an overview of the institutional customer, and we're going to get into the selling process. We're going to talk about what it means to pre-call plan, to do effective discoveries, to bring the right solutions, to pay that gentleman like $100 to stop that rainbow. And then finally, relationship management. And then we're going to get into some of the tactical parts of that, like how are we going to make it all happen after that. But that's what we're going to do next. It is exactly 9:50. If everybody could be back at 9:55, grab some water, grab a drink, whatever you need to do, and we'll really kick this thing off. Thank you.
All right, that's good enough for now. All right. So I already went through the agenda at a high level. Like I said, today we're not going to get everything today, but how do we get off to a really, really great start is what today is about. We met the team. So let's talk about the institutional customer. How is the institutional customer different than our restaurant customer? Mitch, you've been out there and you've been exploring and dipping your toe into this world. From your perspective, having been deeply entrenched in the restaurant side, how is this customer different?
I mean, I think from the restaurant side, there's a lot more, not to say it doesn't happen from the institutional, but in a restaurant, there's a real sense of urgency about like today, now, service. People are coming in. With the institutional side, a lot of that customer base is built in. They have a really good idea of how many people they're serving, like at the high school we visited, for instance. Their business is consistent day to day in a way that a restaurant is just not. Right. So that's a huge part of it.
What else is different?
Well, the sales are steadier in a sense because this is an institution that probably has a cadence that's very predictable. So some of the business will be more predictable, is what I would imagine.
I would imagine it's more breakfast and lunch and not as much dinner and weekends.
Okay. Yeah. These are all things. What's different about the decision maker? We're calling on the restaurant side. All of us are very aware that we're calling on, back of the house decision makers, whether they be chefs, whether they be owners, whether they, and we engage with all different levels at the restaurant, but we know what the buyer looks like there. What's on the buyer's mind on the institutional side? What do they care about?
It's gonna be multi-layered, right, Paul? You're gonna have like an owner of Epicurean, but then you're gonna have 40 chefs, and you need to get the contract with Epicurean, and Kara needs to go talk to the 40 chefs, right? So there's multiple points of decision making, right?
What else? What else is important to realize and understand?
I mean, it's obvious most of our restaurant customers are small businesses compared to institutional customers.
I think that also affects them because a small business owner is going to be more susceptible to price, or a large business owner is going to be more susceptible to reliability and accountability. So you're probably going to be able to not have to argue as much on price like you do with these small businesses, and you're going to want to more emphasize reliability. I'm able to get you the product.
Karen and Paul, would you say is that true? Is everything like pretty
Well,
spot
the
on?
institutional pricing is done at the top level, and then it filters down to all the units, so they don't have to nickel and dime you on cheddar cheese, because every Epicurean unit, no matter if they order $500 or $5,000 a week, they get the same price on cheese.
Yep.
So we don't have, pricing is not usually a discussion unless they have a special event and they need to stay within a budget. That's the only time I hear price brought up to me.
Okay, interesting. Here's some of the things as we've talked about this that we've captured. First of all, decision makers in food service, their titles might be different, right? They're not always going to be chefs. They're not always going to be restaurant owners or general managers. They're typically unit managers, area managers, purchasing managers, and sometimes they're chefs, right? And that doesn't mean that there's not other decision makers that you may find yourself calling on, but those are some of the big ones. These things get interesting. These things are important. They are contractors, okay? When you are a contractor, you are serving a different purpose, okay? We have to remember that these decision makers are rarely the owners of the account. So what does that mean to be a contractor? It means that they have high standards, okay? They don't have a lot of tolerance for ongoing errors and issues and mistakes and damaged products. Like, you can't do this on the institutional side of the business. It doesn't work at all because they're hired by a parent company like a
Guggenheimer,
or
Epicurean, Imagine Culinary.
Imagine Culinary,
Sodexo,
Epicurean, right? We're meeting with Epicurean next week. Who are we meeting with at Epicurean?
Ray, one of the co-founders.
One of the co-founders. And how much do they influence?
Oh, quite a bit. I mean, he deals directly with all the chefs and managers of every location
And what's most important to Ray?
to keep the client happy.
The client who might be a company
Might
like...
be a private school, might be a corporate B&I, a business and industry account, but the client.
What was Sacred Heart? That was...
Sacred Heart is a private Catholic school.
No, managed by...
Epicurean.
That was Epicurean.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had a chance to see so did Eddie. We had a chance to see one of these operations last week. I've never seen anything like it. Okay, I mean, they provide a level of excellence that would make me want to go to school there. I've never been fed that well, okay? And I've never met, better people running the business. Pretty amazing. And you know what? Those students spend $60,000 a year to go to that school, and those parents demand a level of excellence when it comes to something as important as nutrition for their children. And they take it super seriously, so they have high standards. They must provide service based on the parent company's needs and desires. And doing that well is exactly how they're evaluated. That's how they retain and renew their contracts. And when you think about the role that we play in that, what would you say is the role that we play in that? As their food distribution partner.
Make them look good at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, to make them successful, right? Not so different than the mission that we try to live and breathe every day. I would say that the challenge here is a mistake at a small restaurant might mean churning a business that has an annual value of like $5, $10, $20, $30, $50,000. In this case, it could mean hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I say that because as we take this on and try to grow this part of the business, we must be focused on quality. I know I'm preaching to the choir, okay? I just think that the most important thing for us is to not forget that. So what they care about the most, and this was interesting, Paul, you said this, food service is a competitive advantage for great companies to attract top talent. So when you think about the corporate cafeterias, the new Lyft business, the new Google business, these talented workforces that could quite literally work anywhere in the world are coming to these organizations here in the technology hub of the world, and they really look at food service as a competitive advantage. So I think as we get into the mindset of the customer, Those are some things that are important. This is a little bit more on the tactical piece. And what we built so far in this material, we're going to give to you so you can spend some time with it. We're not going to go like so deeply into every piece of this today. We just want to let you know that we've begun thinking about this and want to share some of this with you. Corporate offices are going to represent about 85%-ish of the initial book of business that we're going to be engaging with. All right, and we'll talk about when and how and who in a little bit, but that's going to be a big piece of it. So these are large companies. These are the Googles. These are the Lyfts. These are the companies that we're going to be going out there. They have cafeterias, cafes, micro kitchens, snack programs for their employees. There's so much that we can help them with. There's going to be a corporate catering piece, which is going to be part of this as well. And we'll have a list to start with, but from a new business standpoint, this entire region is largely an opportunity. And it's an untapped opportunity for Palo Alto because our resources here have only been so far. So we're going to be able to really take, we're going to have an opportunity to expand this much more, and you will all be able to do that. You're not limited by the initial account list. As you find opportunities, we can work together to assess them and decide how we're going to go after them together. Event catering, this is like Moscone. This is San Jose Convention Center. These are places that have massive audiences with massive food needs. And again, we land one of these. The zeros on the end of them add up very quickly. You talk about the challenges that we have to getting to CM1. This has the potential to truly be a game changer for us in this space. The point here is we have lots of different businesses that we can call on. We're going to start with a targeted list, and then we're going to expand from there. Paul, just high level, break down the category. This is our penetration into the marketplace right now, correct? 339 total customers. Can you just tell us a little bit about the types of customers that are on here and where you see our sweet spot?
Yeah, so the cafe, restaurant, we kind of put them into, we used to separate the two. A restaurant would be a restaurant and it has a different deal than a cafe, but that's a huge opportunity for us to get back into. I know Cheetah does, that's your main clientele, so there's a little bit of redundancy there, but still, we know it well. The pandemic did a lot to really erase a lot of that, but there's a lot of opportunity.
I'm super curious. When you look at that segment and your 67 customers there, what is the hook that Palo Alto has used to grab and retain that segment?
Well, especially on the restaurant side, not as much on the cafe, but the restaurants, you know it. You got to be able to service them. We have always been big on what we call hot shots, and the restaurants that need to have that cheese for dinner or whatever it is, cream. If whatever happens, we will go to heaven and beyond to try to get them that product.
Got it.
Their
Is it
terms.
other products?
Today it's it used to be Bertha Farms, but but it's at the end of the day, when they need milk or they need whatever they need for dinner service, you can't leave them hanging because they will go to somebody else that does have it. It could be the produce guy at first, then it could turn into Cisco, and the people you don't want to have to be your backup.
But
So
they're not necessarily buying the snack stuff. They might be buying beverage stuff. What are they purchasing?
It's mostly it is.
Dairy, pasta,
It's
spices.
a lot of opportunity.
Do you use, and I know with the contract feeders and the corporate kitchens, you're able to say like, hey, like we have master distributors, we can get you any one of our 70,000 items, and that's like a big hook. Is that as effective with the independent restaurants?
I would say not as.
Okay.
It's just a different service level. You really gotta have the bare. If you're gonna do all their dairy and all their whatever segment of their business or all of it, you gotta have the product and be able to. And when you don't, and that happens, everybody knows we make mistakes.
You know what would be
gotta
cool
recover.
for that segment? The Cheetah catalog.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're armed to be able to serve them at a different level, and that's 67 opportunities right there that we can expand. The opportunity with them with our assortment, That's awesome. And then you see all of these others that are on here, right? And you see the primary breakdown of the parent company. And look how many parent companies there are. Anything that you want to highlight, either Karen or Paul, about these parent companies and what they mean to us and our relationship with them? How strong is it? That kind of thing.
It's very strong. I mean, Epicurean, we've been around since they started. Imagine Culinary, same thing. Imagine Culinary is three gentlemen that used to run Guggenheimer that spun off and started their own company. But they don't like using, they like to use more of the mom and pop distributors. They don't want to be a Cisco house so that's where we got a lot of business. That's Lyft. Lyft is under the Imagine Culinary. And that was just a call to me saying, hey Karen, we're taking over the whole snack program at Lyft and I want you to be my gal. So, and so it's just the relationships. We have a great relationship with Epicurean and the owners of Epicurean, and they just reach out to us anytime a new unit opens. They call us and we set the account up. I think we're a very nimble company, and that's what we've been known for, is I can set up their account in 10 minutes, whereas Cisco and Buy-Right, it takes them a week to get their account set up. They want all these things in place before they can order, and we can do it, I can do it in 10 minutes. And
as an example with Lyft, we were, the hammer came down last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
We have 200 something SKUs.
Going out today, and
but half we did stock, some we don't. But we have to have this up and running by this Friday, 100% fill, because they're opening their doors.
They open Monday.
That's a hard
We
thing
did
to
it.
do.
We
Talk
thought
about nimble.
Yeah.
All we're doing is staring at what we call this open order report. We'll talk about that a little bit here, but all we're doing is staring that down, and we're getting shorted here and there, but we're okay. Where else can we get it? Where else can we get it? Where else can we get it? Nancy's working on it. You're working on it. Martine's working on it. I'm working on it. And we spend all of our time. That's what we're thinking about most of the time. And if we're not doing something else like this, I'm still thinking about that open order report. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think they know they can count on us. When I talk to some of our operators, they tell us, in order to get something in from Cisco, it's a 4 or 5 week turnaround time. Whereas we can turn it around, like Paul just said, in a week. Nancy does a great job sourcing. And if the product's out there, we can track it down. And 99% of the time, we can get it. I very rarely do I ever remember saying no. We absolutely cannot get that.
The longevity also helps, because we have in our online folders of vendors, I think we have about 400 something, no, 600 vendors. We have either heard about the product, we used to sell the product, we're about to bring the product in. So when somebody throws in, let's throw kegs of Verve, coffee, who had to get it? I drove over to Santa Cruz, I met with them, boom, 2 days later, we're set up, we're picking up our first order on Thursday. It's going to be in our system received. Same thing with kombucha out in Sacramento. I knew them from before the pandemic. We used to buy some chameleon from them. They need to have this certain kombucha, brew doctors. Call them, hey, Luis, it's me, I'm here. Hey, just go back. Gives me 10 minutes later, we have an account going. 10 minutes.
Yep, so learn from these two about the needs of these parent companies. And I know that what I would do is I'd really be researching them to see, can we learn about really what they care about? When we're in there talking to their folks, as institutional advisors, because you're not sales reps. If we were sales reps, then we would come in and we'd be order takers. The responsibility for us to really understand this business at a deep level, it goes back to yesterday. We had a meeting with one of our suppliers, Shasta Foods, and Eddie and I left that meeting, and you know what we said? We need to learn Indian cuisine. We need to be all over this. We need to understand the difference between Northern cuisine and Southern cuisine, and how we can cross-sell that batter in between these, this regionality. We had conversations last night, and I'm like, what do you know about, this is at 10 o'clock at night, we're talking Indian cuisine. That's the hunger I think that we need to have about this business to earn the right to be called institutional advisors, right? It's just a mindset. Share that with you, because as we get excited about this,
All right, so let's talk sales process. Who remembers the sales process from, oh my gosh, I can't believe it was only 6 weeks ago when we first really introduced this. But I think I put you on the spot and asked you to explain it during a board visit. Yeah, so like, I'm not gonna do it again, but like, how does this really work? How is this not just like this dumb circle on a page, but actually something that is part of the DNA of how we show up? Someone explain this to me.
Well, I think, again, just a quick recap on it. You're gathering intelligence. You're going into a discovery phase of like looking for solutions, and then that's what helps you find solutions, and you go and manage that. It's a drill down constantly. But what I like about this is it is much more kind of consultative than it is salesy, where it's like meeting up with someone and asking what their needs are, and what would they dream up, what do they want, what culture do they want to create with their organization, and then so that's like our kind of intelligence discovery phase, and then we go out and find them solutions, right? So it's much more consultative rather than like, them being like, I want Euro strips. Well, I don't got it, so I'm gonna sell you chicken, right? It's like, no, it's like, it's much more helping make their dreams come true by matching what they need.
So thank you. Who has ever shown up on a customer visit unprepared? I mean, you woke up late, you had to drive 45 minutes, you were having a meeting because you haven't really talked to this, this customer, whether it's on the restaurant side or the institutional side. Raise your hand if that's ever happened to you.
I've had sales reps show up like that.
And what happens?
They immediately lose credibility. I mean, maybe they're just really good and happen to know everything about my business intuitively, but the ones who are not prepared, it's obvious to me as a buyer.
So at Palo Alto, what does pre-call planning mean? High level, what do we have to do before we, we know, okay, I've got this new opportunity in my book of business. What do I do first? What's my first step? And Mitch, you've been on a few of these, so like, what's your pre-call planning first step?
I mean, especially for the ones we've been going out with, it's Paul sort of sharing his information of these accounts, because these are existing accounts with Palo Alto, so it's been sort of their history, what they've been buying.
Sales history. Okay, that's one thing. What else? What else do we do to get smart? I mean, that's kind of what you're talking about, really, both of these two things. I think each of you are going to find different ways to get smart. Some of them are basic, getting familiar with the business, talking to Karen and Paul for background history, checking out the sales history. What do we learn from being able to really look at sales history on the institutional side? Is it that different than what we do on the Cheetah side? What do we learn?
Their patterns, what their focus is, the heavier parts of their business. I think sales history can tell you a lot of different things, but it does give me a general overview of what I'm looking at in terms of what I'll be selling to that client.
So Karen, come on up here for a second. This is an example of a report of sales history for.
I think it's Twitch.
This is Twitch. What do you see in that chart? What do you see in those numbers?
I look to see from 1 week to the next. They're
That's by the
chronological
month, by the
weeks.
way. That's a month.
By the month, monthly.
And we can
on
break
the
this
back.
down in a number of different ways.
I can tell how many SKUs they ordered, how many times they ordered a certain product, if a product has stopped being ordered. So that sparks to me, why did they stop ordering? Let's say Clover manufacturing cream is no longer on there. Then I would ask the customer, and I would go in, when I see that customer, I'd look in the refrigerator and identify what what manufacturing cream they're now using, what brand, and then it sparks an invitation to say, well, why did you stop using Clover? Was there a reason you stopped using Clover? Oh, well, so-and-so can get here at 7 in the morning and we need the manufacturing cream right out the gate and you guys come at 10. So we started buying Clover, we started buying a different milk because that produce gets here at 5 in the morning, you guys get here at 7. So that's the intelligence I take note of, and then I come back.
Now, how do we get access to that? How do we get our hands on that?
It's on the client.
Paul, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that, but that's in something that we call the client.
which is really our version of customer intelligence, I suppose. Okay, all right, got it. And then
I see a couple other real quick. Dang, right down there, you see there's gaps there. You're like, what the heck happened? Well, they went out of business. That's what happened.
Dang, yeah.
You
The
look at
coconut
Lowe's.
chips? Product is
Huh?
unavailable.
The coconut chips?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
They're just
struggled,
not
and nobody was upfront with us about it. All our distributors, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. We record number of times out of stock, and then once it hits 5, all the alarms go off. We got to figure this out. Still, we ask Unify. Everybody has them in their catalogs, and we, by the way, float around whoever has them. They keep saying they're just out of stock temporarily. Well, now it's been 6 months. They've been out of stock. They're gone. The company's no longer there. I see another thing there. You see the McDougal's right below the Dangs. That's a weird. It's a cup. It's a natural cup.
like
But
a
you
cup.
notice you see every other month he's ordering. Well, that's probably this pattern. So you see patterns.
Yeah.
That's
great. And what about on the other side, the open order report?
Well, we live on this. This
Yeah.
is what I was talking about. This gives you an idea of what we have, because we are, and we'll talk about this more. We're a heavy JIT special order company. I'll say that for now. We'll get into what that means in a little bit. But you'll see items on the order for this week or for tomorrow. Below, you'll see the items that they have as special order, and then below you have a sales history. It gives you a really good picture of what's happening with the count right here, right now. It's a quick button. Go. I only got part of it. It's
Yeah,
actually a larger
there's
report.
two. There's an open order report.
How do we access that?
It's in client.
Also
You just
in client.
click of a button.
And this is
It's
one
two
of
clicks.
this is
One
one of
click
these
it in.
things. We're going to talk about Karen's role in helping guide us through this, but no one's going away. So when we sit down and really do the pre-call planning, we'll do it together. You'll show us where all of this stuff is, right?
Yeah.
We'll have access to it. It's all being installed on your laptops, or it already has. B.
So yeah, we'll go over that
We'll
later.
go over that in a little bit. Okay, talk to us about street accounts. What am I looking at here?
Yeah, so street accounts are a different animal altogether. I just did a quick thing. We call this bid margin. It's actually what we have, customer order sheet. Not everybody has that concept of customer order sheet, meaning customer history. So when you go to the Cheetah, you'll see the stuff that they traditionally have bought. That's a standard thing. All food service has that by default. But we use this to actually customize pricing. We have an override for bid margin.
But what
And
is this?
without getting into
What
it,
is
yeah,
exactly
pricing
what
is here.
What is a street account?
The street account would be Getty's account.
Restaurant.
The restaurant.
It's a
We call it
restaurant.
That's a
coffee
terminology.
shop.
Similar
Coffee
to
shop.
what we've been doing.
Hotel.
Yeah, it's a Cheetah style customer.
Okay.
And all I'm highlighting there is you simply go in and to be armed so you know what the items are. You can do quick order sheets, quote sheets. This gives you a lot of information what's going on. Gives you an idea for pricing. So you'll see eggs going at 10%. You'll see disposables going at 25%, whatever it is. It gives you a quick idea of where you are with pricing.
It tells you also, the far left column tells you the last time the customer ordered that item. And then you can go over to the right and you can double click on the bid margin button and it'll tell you how many times they've ordered that item. So you can go and look like, oh, well, wait, why did they stop ordering in November of '22? And then you can see that it just sparks, I use it as a tool.
When we move over to the hands-on aspect of the training, before the handoff occurs and we actually start visiting new customers, we're going to spend a little bit of time on the tech, making sure we're comfortable with the systems, and that's going to be something that we'll plan as we talk about next steps. So thank you for sharing that.
How long do you generally lock prices for on a customer when you bid it? Is it like
It's a cost plus. So the cost goes up down.
It goes up when our price goes up.
Okay.
Do you share the master distributor cost with the customer?
No.
No.
Okay, so they just trust you that when your prices are going up and down, it's the percent
That's
plus.
kind of work.
Okay. But they never
Like I
ask.
say, but you'll say, bring them back to the chips. We buy from KE's $25, Unify's $20, Dot Foods might be $15. What do we tell the customer? Try to explain that. They can't. So it's too difficult to explain.
And they don't ask for an audit. They just trust you that your plus is legit. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions about street accounts? How many of them are there that we're going to be going after? These very Cheetah-like customers in this first round.
As of the 60.
67. I mean, it's usually just the street business is the non-chain business, so we don't Most of our business is chain, but we do have one-offs.
No, we do. The catering we get into, like crafty,
Yeah,
those kind of
like
guys.
banh mi's at the airport and ondelays, all those, yeah.
Yeah, so many opportunities to talk about. We're today our goal is high level overview, and then it gets into the hands-on part.
I just wanted a quick comment on the client. I don't want anybody to get intimidated by it. I designed this thing, and I always, when I built it, as you probably heard over the years, I build it like McDonald's. I make it so it's 2 clicks to do this, 2 clicks to do that. You're not digging. So once you learn how to do it once, and you want that order sheet, or you want to get in the bid margin, I think it's 3 clicks to get into that.
Mitch, have you had any experience actually using that yet, or have you just
No,
been...
we've just done like some overview stuff.
Okay. Karen, what's your confidence level in the ease of use for us to be able to get up to speed using the system?
I think, like Paul said, it's very self-explanatory, and I think once you do it a few times, it's very easy.
All right, you're committed.
And there's enough support.
And you're committed to teaching us.
Yes.
As is the team.
Yes.
Excellent.
And to compare to Cheetah, I would say it's like a mix between our API back system and the Periscope reports you use. So it's a mix between those two.
Okay. Some of the things that are in here are basic and foundational, but important. So I think it's worth just noting that there are differences because, we get acclimated to calling on restaurants. You're going to notice some similarities. This is all about scheduling visits. So, walk-ins aren't such a great idea, right? So you actually have to call and professionally schedule meetings, find out what's best for them. Here's some guidance from the Palo Alto team about what times are best. Mid-morning or early afternoons seem to be a great option, right? Why? Why does this tend to be a good option for them?
It's when they're available.
Right, they're finished with their breakfast, they're finished with cleanup, so you get that time frame there, and then in the afternoons, finish with lunch service, they're ready to go, and then their day's pretty much over, so you've got a small window, right? Avoid between an 11 and 1, prime window for most cafeterias. Steer clear of early morning, same reason, they're breaking down after breakfast. They start their days early. Does that mean opportunities early, or does that mean steer clear early?
Well, some chefs will see you early, but most of them, they're prepping for breakfast service, and then they get a little bit of a break between like 9 and 11, and then they don't want to see you till between 1 and 2:30. By 2:30, most of and you won't, even if you show up at 2:30, they might still be there, but they're done. It's
Right.
like the end of the day for us. It's 5 o'clock for us.
Right, they're coming off the field exhausted, right? Yep, that makes sense. Seldom any dinner service, so we know that going in, done by 3. Look, these provide very limited windows of opportunity to visit customers, which is why Karen included the last piece of advice. You're not going to go on 10 meetings a day. 5 or 6 is probably pretty aggressive. You can imagine if these are high-level meetings, but 5 to 6 seems like the max. If that's all you did during a given day, you would never get to more. Plus, there's drive times. You're all very seasoned at managing lots of restaurants in multiple territories. So I know that this isn't something that's new to you, but it's good advice to remember. Any thoughts or questions that anybody has on this piece? All right. Let's see. This is product discussion. This is really why don't you take us through this, Karen? And I know you're looking at this for the first time, and the guidance that's on here is put a list together of things that you think they'll like. Introduce traditional food service that they haven't purchased or stopped purchasing. Those are all things that we can find on the report that we just took a look at, right? Remind the customer that employees in cafeterias are understaffed and do not always plan their stocking needs due to shortages and other supplies or last-minute catering events given to them by the client. What does that mean?
So we get that quite a bit. We get where a customer will call and say, oh my gosh, Karen, I was just handed a catering for tomorrow for 800 people. The account we visited last week, Luis had that happen to him.
Yes.
So it's not that he's going to say, oh, I need 4 days notice to buy chicken. He needs chicken tomorrow.
Right.
He needs the products and he wants to know how we can help him. And so usually we're his first call and then he goes to his other vendors. But yeah, when I go in and make a product discussion question, I love it when they take me in the walk-in to show me things, cause I am snapping my camera away. And I'm looking at what kind of dairy they're using, what kind of cheese is on the labels. When I'm walking in the account, I always stop at the dumpster. And by the way, when you guys are going to institutional accounts, look for the dumpsters in the parking lot. Wherever you find the dumpsters, the kitchen door's right by there. So that, and I always dumpster dive, not literally, but I look in the thing to see what labels are on. I can tell the pink and yellow use US Foods label, the buy right label. So I've already got a little intelligence before I even knock on the door. I know what they're buying.
It's brilliant. That should have been on that first slide.
That's a very good tip.
That's commitment.
That resonates.
Yeah, so it sounds like when we do make occasional mistakes, which happens, we call our reaction to that recovery. And what can you tell us about recovery from either of you?
I'll say first and foremost, recovery defines your company, defines Palo Alto Foods anyway. The mistake's gonna happen. We're all human. Human beings make mistakes, period. The operator knows that, you know that. But if they say, I need this piece of cheese for lunch service, and your answer is, and you had missed pulls on that one truck, whatever, doesn't matter. If your answer is, I can't do it, but I can give it to you maybe tomorrow or the next day, zero trust. You blew the whole thing. We're figuring out, one way or another, what we're gonna do to get that product to that customer that we screwed up.
Which is easier said than done when you think about scaling up and having resource constraints.
The old Palo Alto Foods, we had 2 hotshot trucks, vans I should say, on the ready. Anybody in the warehouse is ready to go with it. If it was an error, they're putting stuff away, I start putting stuff away, they're jumping in the truck to make that delivery, or I'm making the delivery, someone's making the delivery. But they're gonna get that product.
Yeah, it's recovery. For instance, Stanford Hospital had Staff Appreciation Day on Monday, and they needed $1,500 worth of Haribo gummy bears. Paula runs Pico. We found out Vistar had them, so Nancy coordinated Vistar. We picked up from Vistar.
By the way, we got shorted from our first vendor.
We got shorted from our first vendor. So then Nancy found them at Vistar. We had the Vistar deliver here. I came over with my car, loaded up the $1,500 worth of gummy bears, and drove them to Stanford Hospital because they needed to prepare those bags for the next morning. Now, it wasn't just gummy bears. They had about 12 items going in that bag for every staff member. We had 11 of them.
Order, right? How big was that?
Total $10,000, but it was $1,500 just in gummy bears. But he sent me a text that night saying, Karen, you saved my life. So those kind of texts, warriors, the warriors constantly.
I lose sleep over that. The gummy bears, actually, I lost sleep. I call you 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
Gotta go to Pitco. You're off doing sales stuff. So I'm down there walking through the warehouse and like, they don't have it.
They had 7
I took
boxes.
a picture of it. They got 7 boxes. I'm like, what are we gonna do with this? Oh, man, usually they have 100 boxes there.
But that's the recovery, and we're known for that. We're known to, and maybe it's our fault, maybe it's their fault, but it doesn't really matter at that point. We're solving
So what
the
does
problem.
that mean? Listen, I don't expect us to have all of the answers here, but Chris, Daniel, Josiah, like the leaders that are supporting this team, like how are we going to approach, you don't have to answer this, but I think we all have to think about this. How are we going to approach resourcing this so that we can be effective at recovery? Like, do we have hotshot vans to be able to offer this level of service? Are we in a position to be able to do that? If not, how quickly can we be? And that's going to be all the strategy behind how we scale this up. So we're going to get started, right? We're not going to get started big, we're going to get started right. And then we have to, in the background, make sure that we are supporting all of this. So, you know, be patient with the process, and we'll work together to figure out, you know, what it means to be able to keep that level of quality as we scale. We all in agreement with that? Yeah, because this, you know, this is pretty interesting, right? These are conversations that we're now having, essentially beginning to have with ourselves, like more delivery days. What would opening up a second delivery day mean for Palo Alto right now, Karen?
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we could double their orders.
She asked me 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have several accounts that and because of logistics, we had to limit a lot of our customers to 1 delivery day. Out in Oakland, out up in Marin, up in some of the North Bay, and these schools all are asking for 2-day delivery days. So they're telling me, Karen, if your truck comes on Monday and I get a catering job on Tuesday, I have to order from your competitor because you guys aren't back till next Monday. So if I can do that Monday, Thursday, I'm gonna capture a lot, and they've all told me. And I asked for the business. When I'm there, I say, if I could get a truck here on Thursday, would you give me more business? And they all have told me, absolutely. They said, Palo Alto Foods is their first call.
Pre-pandemic, we had, all our customers had
All I had
Monday, Thursday,
2,
Tuesday, Friday.
mostly, and some had 3.
Drivers, both?
Listen, we're not going to solve this in this conversation,
No.
but
But
we need
having
to
that
know about
opportunity.
Thor. Okay, Thor started out the egg business on a tricycle. All right, and then he got a bike with a basket. Okay, he got rid of that basket bike and he bought a Studebaker truck in 1969. Is that right? Did I get all that detail correct? All right, it was something like that. Don't hold me to any of the vehicles. But I mean, we are also in a position of growth, and we need to make sure that we're resourced to be able to deliver on this product, this process of quality. We got it. So figuring out how we're going to handle recoveries. Decide if we're, making it standardized. Everything that we've been talking about, especially over the last 45 days, is about standardizing excellence. And we know we're not there in certain areas. So we have to continue doing that. And recovery is something that needs to be standardized and institutionalized. Consider the customer's potential to determine the complementary recovery service. Sure. So these aren't really for discussion right now. They're for us to figure out because we know it's coming. And we know that if we don't get the infrastructure right to be able to support this, then it'll lead to errors, right? Mistakes.
To be, just real quick on the complimentary.
Yeah.
So, we have the Palo makes a mistake, we gotta fix it thing. Now, the complimentary is more of a, it's a little looser. We base it on the size, if Pixar says, I forgot to order half and half, guess what? We're on a truck, we're getting a half and half to them because they have coffee service. I'm sorry to say, if it's a small cafe, we have to make hard decisions. And so we do the best we can with what we got. But complimentary is a little bit looser than Palo made a mistake. Just want to put that out there.
And where I come from on this is I can appreciate and actually be a little jealous of companies that can be loose and that can operate in the best interest of the customer because you're a family business. When you scale it and you have investors involved and expectations for growth, you can't be loose. You have to have systems. You have to have expectations for excellence. And I know sometimes I sound like a broken record around that, but that's what it will take for us to grow. It is exactly what we're focused on right now, and we're not going to make compromises as we scale the business because we know what we know what is at risk here, and it's frankly disappointing, the Jensen family and not living up to the potential that this really has. So enough on that. We know we have to figure it out. Discovery. What's the discovery part of the sales process all about?
I liked how you put it earlier, getting smart.
That's the intelligence piece, although we're also getting smart on the discovery piece, so you're not wrong. But what's discovery really all about? If you had to just quickly summarize it.
Surfing.
Part of it's observing.
Dumpster diving.
Gathering information.
It's gathering information. Another way of saying discovery is needs analysis. Nothing matters. Nothing matters for us unless we clearly understand what they need. And I know that sounds so simple, but it is a process to get there. We can do two things as part of needs analysis. We can go dumpster diving. It's a great idea. That's deep intelligence. That's doing things that others aren't willing to do to really understand the competitive environment. And we've talked about the data and analytics and the reports that can help us get smart too. Observation, when I think about it, there's a few things that we put on here. First of all, get there early so you can do a little observation. Not only are you going to have to get through security, which takes more time, you have to find parking, possibly in a visitor lot that isn't even connected to the corporate cafeteria in some cases. So I know I'm a broken record on being early, but to me, if a meeting's at 8 and you arrive at 7:58, you're late. 15 minutes early and yesterday I stood over you and nagged you, and it wasn't even, so like, the more that we can do that, I think the more that we're demonstrating hospitality. And I don't think that these institutional clients have as much tolerance. You know, these meetings are set. Broken record, I'm moving on. So when you look in there, things that you're observing, you know, take a look. What happens when you observe a cafeteria? What might you learn? Don't even look at the board. This is just, you know, think about it. You're walking in and you're looking at the environment. What might you learn?
I might learn what like is very popular. There's different types of cafeterias. So sometimes if it's like one particular station that does one thing, you might figure out they like this particular thing a little bit more.
You also might get an idea of that in a different way. If there's a bunch of plates laying out of one particular thing, and then everything else is gone from one thing, you're also looking at patterns.
Hey, Mitch, that high school we did, that was huge.
Yeah, seeing what else they were buying.
No, size.
From who? Oh, just purely the
Did they have a
size of it?
stove?
Yeah.
No, the kitchens are. There were.
Nothing. It's like a shoebox.
Yeah.
He had no room. He had no storage. That's where extra delivery days for him. He was talking to us about that from the beginning. You know, oh, if I can get a second delivery day because I just don't have the storage capacity. But then he let us in the storage area, so we got a chance to take some pictures and see what else he had on the shelves and what else we could.
So I mean, and Karen, when Eddie and I came in and saw Sacred Heart, it was like, holy moly, look how big this place is. How many kitchens do they have? How many products do they have? And you look at that, and you know, and you're able to say this cafeteria must serve 1,200 people a day.
Yeah, well, and often you move into an office setting, the cafeteria is just the central nerve of the campus, right? So we were selling coffee to Pinterest, and we were talking 80 pounds a week, 90 pounds a week, and that was for a single automated espresso machine. And as you know, Chris, who's my buddy with Pinterest, was asking all these questions like, how much can you guys do? How much can you roast? How much can you, and then we started talking more talking more, and I asked, what's the size of the company? It's multiple thousand people, it's 3 buildings. They have 25 of these machines throughout all 3 of those buildings. So the idea was, can you start on 100 pounds a week? But the real question was, can you do 2,500 pounds a week for all these machines?
What a great problem to have, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, knowing that you're walking into a cafeteria, that's where they put their money in for a hood system and a grease trap in that part. But a lot of these places have little micro satellite kitchens that require less help stuff throughout the building. That is probably way more of the business actually. So that's pretty big. And the last example I'll share is I met up with Ace Sushi, which is in a Lucky grocery store. And when I got set up with that call, this was last week, I was like, why am I going to Ace Sushi in a Lucky grocery store, right? Well, it turns out they're contracted out and they have 50 locations throughout the Bay. And so there's an opportunity for us that we could do produce drops at the locations, right? So it's more than meets the eye. I think that's a huge part of observation is asking, what is the size of your company? What is the size of your operation? Because, you know.
We'll get to the discovery questions in a minute. Before we do, what's B&I mean? That's a term that you're going to hear a lot. B&I.
Business and industry.
Business and industry. Okay, you'll often hear that acronym, know what it is, and you know some accounts are going to be B&I, some accounts are going to be other things like schools. Where you know B&I account, you might say, well, what's the composition of the Google account? Like how much of that audience that we're serving are an Indian population, an Asian population, whatever it is. It could be so many, just like we have cuisine types, there's ethnicities that would feel at home with those cuisine types, and we have the opportunity to provide that. So there's those kind of opportunities. And
I'm going to throw a real quick Mediterranean. I think that's a huge opportunity. Everybody wants it. It doesn't have to be Greek straight up. Mediterranean. We're the experts in Mediterranean cheetah. I'm not a great expert, but I'm going to learn to be one.
Fun fact about Google is Google wants none of their employees to be more than 100 feet away from a food or snack anytime.
Brett, you were starting to ask the questions. What kind of questions should we come in there and ask? What are the important questions that we come in and ask an institutional client? Let's rattle them off. Let's see how many we can get.
We'll
go around the room. Start with you, Paul. What's your favorite question?
getting a feeling of how they're doing. So open-ended question, how are things, how are you doing?
How are you doing? I mean, so
Always.
I'm glad you said that because it's easy to gloss over the importance of building a relationship. We're coming in new. Karen's been getting to know their children. So, we've got to get to that point, and it just starts with recognizing that, we're here to, be partners and we're here to help each other. I want to get to know you. We could never really effectively do business together unless you knew me. So I don't think we need to teach any of you that. I know enough about all of you that comes very naturally. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the rapport building of that sense, just other than the fact that we know it's really important. What's the next question you want to know, Eddie?
No, not so much a question, it's just thanking them for taking time out of their day to meet with us and make sure it was a good time for them. Is this still a good time for you?
I believe, Paul Shea, since you are going to be seeing this on videotape, I believe the word is conviviality. Everybody say hi to Paul.
Hey,
Paul. All right.
I'll throw that kind of a nuance off that is respect. Respect their time. If they're red in the face and you can see it, and okay, you have a rough morning. They threw a catering on me. Two people called out. Oh my God. Yeah. Respect their time. Ask for more time respectfully.
I don't know. I think I've seen enough out of our restaurant advisor team. They understand how to deal with frustrated customers, perhaps, and could teach a master's class on it, which is great. These are important things. Building rapport. Really just being sensitive to where they're at, for sure. Mitch, let's get into the understanding the business type of questions. What do we need to know?
How many people do they serve on a given day?
Okay, absolutely. So what kind of volume are you doing in here? That'll help me understand, what your needs are. Patrick, how about from you?
A question that I'm curious about their business out of the gate. I think this would depend a little bit on the client. So I don't know, a cookie cutter answer might be something to do with the volumes, like what they're used to receiving, the sizes of these orders.
Yeah, I mean, is that important to know? There's no wrong answers here. We're just going to go around the room and just let's start thinking. Gabby, what's a question you want to know? You want to ask?
Goals, aspirations for the business.
Yeah, what kind of, how are you measured, right? What are your goals for the business? Absolutely, got to know that. Chris.
Any challenges you're having with other vendors that we can help solve?
Beautiful.
That's what I was going to say. Pressure points. What are there any problems that you're having currently that we can help you with, or any products you're having trouble sourcing that we can help you with?
I was going to ask you to come up with a second question. You just did. I love the product sourcing question. You can't steal Chris's question.
No.
Okay. Just kidding. Daniel, you got one?
I mean, just all the good ones.
These are a good one. Now we have to dig deeper.
Is there anything new you'd like to see implemented at your restaurant or at your cafeteria?
Yeah. Why is that important to ask?
Sourcing new products, get an idea of how you can help them out, how you can help them build.
And these are variations of the same theme, but what are you not getting today that we might be able to help you with? Josiah, what do you want?
I mean, I have a variation of that question, a different way to add it or ask it is sort of what's the wildest idea you've had for this location? What are you not doing that you've thought about doing?
Again, we have seen our customers do such special things for their people. We see them putting the goodie bags together. The example that you just gave a few moments ago. We saw the little beautiful cups that that one food service professional, I can't remember her name.
Deanna?
Yeah, Deanna made for all the students.
Oh yeah.
So that gets into what are you trying to do? Again, beautiful. Brett, you got one?
Yeah, mine. I like to ask the person what expansion are they doing? What's coming down the pipeline for them that might increase their role of responsibility? And then with that, who's their team that's going to help them do that?
That is a super important question because that gets to the heart of how they're measured, right? And understanding that is big. So none of these are wrong. They're all good questions. We captured a bunch of the usual suspects so that as you're thinking about meetings, what am I going to ask them today? What do I need to know? How's your business performing? What are your goals? What are your biggest challenges? Your current suppliers? What have you had trouble sourcing? What products do your guests love the most? How do you like to receive supplies? And these are all really important questions that we may not ask them all at one time, but before we close the deal, we got to know all of this. Tell me about your storage. Where are your deliveries going? Do you accept dark drops? Paul's had customers that you have keys for
you know,
We
and-
database all our keys.
for years, right?
Yeah, but, yeah, we've got a bunch of keys.
How do you
100
like?
keys.
How do you like to meet? How often do you want to meet? Should we set up business reviews every quarter to really see how we're doing? There's a lot of different questions that you're going to want to be asking as you deepen the relationship. Hopefully, it's helpful to just start capturing them, and we can keep adding to them. But you're going to get acclimated to knowing that this is what you need to know. Starting the meeting. Back to you, Paul, Shay. These are some of the things that you talked about here. We're going to come in and often going to be talking to security or administrative assistants or different gatekeepers that can be your best friend or your worst enemy. Like, paying attention to them is something that's not worth forgetting, because has anybody had an example of where you befriend somebody that can provide access and information that you might not have ever otherwise been able to get? Is that something that happens? Again, I think there's some basic stuff on here that's like, how do I sell Palo Alto Foods that yeah.
Sorry, no, I'm reading through this and it's great. This is the part, I've been kind of sitting here with this looming question as we started the meeting, and this part is kind of maybe cluing in a little bit of assure them that Karen, is still with them on the team, XYZ. I think I would love to know, myself, Paul, Patrick, Mitch, like, this is the first time we're really having that cross-pollination. Like, what is our first plan of attack here? Is it Cheetah reps that are helping expand the team for Karen?
I would ask you to just suspend that for a few minutes.
Yeah.
We're tracking on time.
Great.
So we've got just a little bit of more on the sales process.
Yeah.
And then we're going to really jump in the tactical approach that we're going to take to be able to actually, do it.
Gotcha.
All right. So there's not much here. I mean, look, I think that what stands out to me on this page is that it's really great news that we're here to help provide resources, because there's only one Karen. You're going to be providing really warm handoffs in all cases. So most of the time they should be excited to meet with us, right? You feel pretty good about that?
Yeah, the pandemic did a lot to wipe a lot of that away because nobody got to speak with anybody. Now here we're pulling out some, it's kind of a unique opportunity. They're going to be happy to see a human that they can count on.
I mean, and like the deep love that they have for Karen may make some of them a little weepy, but there's amazing things about each of us that will be able to just enhance the experience. So I'm not too terribly concerned about that. And they're not going away. Karen's not going away. Paul's not going away. So we have this opportunity to really strengthen this. This slide is a mess, and I normally wouldn't want so much information on this. But there are some nuts and bolts on here that I just want to pick them apart and have a brief conversation about. Karen, come on up here and help me with this one, okay? Let's just break this down. All right, Paul, you said the first one we don't have to talk about. Starting out and building rapport was the first thing that's on here. Because some people might be open to having a conversation that's high level, and others may immediately bring up issues. And the ability to listen to that, we don't need to talk about. That's something that we're all acclimated with. Why don't you take us through the rest, especially as we get down through the bottom.
Be prepared to address common challenges related to shortages and delivery times. While there are typical challenges for most distributors, operators, and permits can help to mitigate these issues. Mitigate these issues. You want me to read them, or you want me to?
No, I want to talk about what they mean.
Well, for instance, always having the open conversation about delivery times and challenges for the distributors, trying to solve their problems. That's one thing about Palo Alto Foods is I can go right to Palo for delivery questions. I go right to Martine for stock issues, things like that. Familiar yourself with inventory.
All right, so what I'm taking away from that second bullet is what we learned this morning. We have an entire team that supports this process. It's our responsibility as institutional advisors to get to know them, to know who to go to develop relationships. As important as it is to develop relationships out there, it's more important for us to develop relationships with this family. So is that fair to say that's a good takeaway from this? All right, what's the next one?
The next one is to familiarize with our codes. We have 3 codes at Palo Alto Foods. We have RS, which is regular stock. Every item in our catalog has one of 3 of these codes. RS is regular stock, available today for delivery tomorrow. JIT is just in time. We have a lot of vendors that we have our orders in by 11 today. We get it tomorrow, the customer gets it the third day, or their next delivery day after the third day. SOI is 4+ days. So it might be DOT, where we place DOT order on Friday morning, we don't get it till the following Thursday, so a lot of the customers get it that following Friday. The best thing is to communicate these 3 codes with every customer you see, because some of the customers don't know this and they expect that they're gonna get everything tomorrow. But they understand, once they know the process and they know the coding, when they're looking through the website or they're looking through our catalogs,
it's a designation upon really having the discussion about what their shopping list is going to be, that they're designated that way, so that you set expectations about delivery time.
Yeah, so there's no surprises.
Okay.
And we're kind of unique in that we have these tens of thousands of items in a JIT or SOI fashion, and most companies don't do that. So it's kind of, it's our secret sauce, but it's also our Achilles heel. We're constantly trying to keep perception up, and we always, and for instance, Nourish needed CTO 33-ounce Volt. They're like, oh shoot, we respond quickly, we'll par it up. They're a huge customer of ours. They'll do 15 cases a week. We move that right then and there, move our RS and par it up.
These are not new concepts to you. You know what all of this already. The thing is, we've got a much different JIT environment that we're dealing with different lead times, and you've got a team of supporters that are going to help you through that. I mean, yes, we're in there selling, upselling the Cheetah catalog, but you're going to be in situations where you're going to have a chance to expand and grow line items, well beyond that. We don't want you to feel like you're not in a position to do that, right? Isn't that fair to say?
I always have an open conversation with the customer. If for instance, for Kata Snack, if they're ordering 10 cases of CTO water and it's a JIT item, and they're ordering it every day. I mean, Kata Snack places an order every day of the week, $4,000 to $5,000 every day. I'm not going to keep that JIT. I'm going to go to Martine and say, look, he's buying this. It's consistent, and I reach out to the customer and I say, I'd be happy to change this to regular stock for you. We'll have it on hand. I just ask one favor of you. If you decide to stop using it, please burn through our remaining inventory and let me know. Give me at least a couple weeks notice. And all my customers honor that. If you're upfront with them, they're upfront with you, and they're happy that now we stock the item. So that's...
Now we're sticky.
Huh?
And now we're sticky with it.
And we also set up standing orders. We have the capability also, if a customer wants, for instance, Nourish, they supply all the Kaiser hospitals. They want holy guacamole. It's not a big thing. It's like 8 cases a week, but he wants them every Friday.
15.
It's a JIT item. So it's a JIT item, and so instead of waiting till Wednesday to put it in, I just have a standing order, and we order it on Monday for Friday every week. It's like clockwork. Judy puts all the standing orders in. So those items, and then she projects the delivery day for Friday. It runs like clockwork. It takes the whole forgetting and them forgetting to tell me or such out of the mix, and they're happy, we're happy.
Sorry, can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
So your customers know, or Palo Alto customers know, regular stock, like that's kind of how they're referring to stuff. JIT, is this the
I communicate that on a
terminology
daily basis, but yeah, it's in our catalog, and every item, if you look in our catalogs, I printed some today, the far left category is one of those codes for every product we have in Palo Alto Foods. So they know that. The web, it gets a little tricky. I'm not sure on the web if it does JIT and SOI.
It does. In fact,
it projects a delivery date, right?
Yeah, and that's a constant. I'm constantly working on that. I spend more time on that than the data work on the web to articulate that, because you don't want to put the word JIT in it. Nobody really understands that. You have to say available after such and such a date. But when you have 75,000 items, from being a data guy, it's hard. So I'm reworking that entire system as we speak, actually. So, but it's yes. The short answer is yes.
How we scale this so that it is easy for customers to understand, it's easy for us to represent, is going to be something that we'll continue to make improvements on.
It's a journey.
And it's a bit of a journey. I am glad that we have you here to help us through it, but we also need to build the operations behind it and need to understand how we scale that way. So that's great.
Any other questions about that before we move to the next one? All right, keep going.
Oh, okay, so the next one is remembering that Palo Foods are robust offerings of JIT and SOI products, and it's essential to communicate that to the customer. So Paul put in there, think of it as an Amazon. So we are an Amazon. I always tell my customers, if you have your order in by 11 a.m., it's going to get ordered today. It'll get to you. It'll come into us tomorrow. You get it the following day. So it's all information. I mean, if they order it at 4:45 today, they're not going to get that product 2 days from now. They're going to get 3 days from now because they've missed our cutoff. I mean, they have to understand we have supply chain. They have, so we have to communicate that, and I do communicate that with all of our customers. Be aware that meeting delivery time expectations is one of our biggest challenges. Yeah, so that's the same thing. They have to make sure that they understand our supply chain ordering process as well.
That's actually more, all of our customers would love to have a 6 o'clock in the morning
Yes.
delivery. Physically impossible. We have 6 trucks. So it's almost, I call it whack-a-mole, but it's not really. We put a lot of time into routing, planning, and we have set routes for all our customers, but we try to fit it all in. It's a jigsaw puzzle. We're constantly moving it, and we move routes, and static routes are always moving. We try to accommodate when that happens.
Do you use like an intuitive knowledge of your customer, like, oh, that guy we can move until
That's
9.
Hector.
He's probably what?
Hector's our intuitive knowledge.
Hector's your intuitive
Hector,
knowledge.
I can call Hector any time of the day and say, Hector, I've got Stanford Hospital that wants to deliver at 6 a.m. Karen, I can do that on Tuesdays and Fridays, but Mondays and Thursdays it's going to be mid-morning or early afternoon. Hector he knows the routes like the back of his hand, but that's where I'll compromise with customers and I'll say, look, if you stick to these delivery days, my routing manager says you can get an early delivery. If you want a Thursday delivery, we can do it for you, but we can't promise a delivery time.
And we have 3 routers, myself and 2 others in my company. We've been doing it I routed for 15 years and actually wrote the program that makes our routing happen. So we all are resources for routing.
So it's Hector, you, and who else?
And Augustine.
Augustine, okay. But is Hector the main guy?
Hector's the main, yeah.
He's the.
Okay.
He routes every night.
All right,
yeah,
keep
the
going.
last one is to communicate product exchange, discontinuation, substitutions, out of stocks. We do that on a daily basis as well. Martine will send us a report once a week, or maybe sometimes twice a week, of an item that's been discontinued, and it's very self-explanatory. It comes in an email form. It tells you this product, XYZ ordered it, it's been discontinued, or this product has been changed. Please have the customer use this other item number. So we communicate all that via email or a phone call, depending on the customer.
Josiah, it's very similar to what you showed me in the data, which is you have that the substitute, not substitute. You have a field, I forgot the name. I had you add that
For
replacement.
Yeah,
so it's the same way.
And most customers are happy with the substitution. For instance, Seagate, he always tells me, hey, Karen, if you can't get me that product, can you suggest something else? So he'll take a like item, he'll take a similar item. They don't want to be out. So I always try to look over, at the end of the day, I always try to look over any items that maybe we didn't get in, and so we'll make some follow-ups. Usually the last hour of the day is recovery, trying to fix issues that maybe arise for tomorrow. And then finally promote exceptional customer service by being responsive, communicative, and helpful. So that's in all of these. We're constantly communicative and helping, being responsive. We have Judy in the morning who calls all shortages, lets customer know before the truck even arrives that, hey, you're not going to get this. Do you want us to reorder it? Do you want us to send you another item? Because there's just things that when the guys pull at night, maybe they thought our account said it was there, it's not there. So then, and I have also, we put in special notes to Hector at night. Like, for instance, Seagate, if we're out of gallons of milk, sub half gallons. So Hector just does it now automatically, because the customer just wants to have the milk. So it doesn't matter.
Think about all the opportunities that we have, that if we are to scale, that we need to build systems, because we can't have single points of failure. And so we know that. We're going to be able to get started. I can't wait till Hector, has a bigger system to help develop, right? We know that that's something that's going to come after we
after we have proof of performance with all this. So thank you, Karen.
Okay.
I appreciate you walking us through all of that. So solutions. Gabby, if you could bring the camera just back here for a moment. We're going to need it because I want to do something next. But just a little video to get us a little bit jazzed up before we talk solutions. Does anybody remember who the what the value proposition acronym was from our initial training? Does anybody recall that?
Wrap.
RAP. So what does RAP stand for? Never mind.
Reason.
Never mind. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Let's have Doug. Do you remember Dougie Fresh? For those of you who don't, you don't like Dougie Fresh?
No, I just I remember this. That's it.
Well, we have a new and improved Dougie.
What's up? This is Doug E. Fresh coming at you with much love and much respect.